and he wanted someone to talk to while he was working on his projects, and same with me. Like, it was always nice to have company and have someone else here. And Alpha was the funnest person to talk to. Just, he had the best stories and the best sense of humor, and so I have so many wonderful memories with him here.
Pettit tells KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera this week it wasn't just about reuniting a bride with her dress, it was a reminder of Alpha himself.
It's been devastating for sure, like, no doubt about that. But the more I think about the person Afa was, the more he would want us to mourn, but then keep going. He would not want us to just sit in sadness for days and months and years. Like, he would want us to find joy and to have laughter and to, like, really live a full life. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And one thing I found is this whole wedding dress story that really has helped me and my studio mate now, Natalie. We both are like, this gives us so much meaning to his death and to his loss. All of a sudden, we're not just depressed, sobbing nonstop. There's a purpose, there's something to do, there's a project, there's someone to serve, someone to help. And that is just so much the energy Afa brought to the world. And so we're really happy to be continuing that.
She says now one more bride will get her special day wrapped in love, memory, and the joy that Afa always shared. We're going to check your traffic right now. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. What's happening, Ricky?
The flames have been doused and the smoke has cleared, but the ramp is still closed. This is due to a roadside fire southbound I-215's eastbound at 3300 South. Again, that exit ramp blocked to traffic, but traffic coming around the bend from I-80 and Foothill to the East Belt, you are safe and good to go through the area. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
It's Julie from the Cache Valley Visitors Bureau inviting you to come celebrate summer in Logan. From nonstop festivals to super close outdoor adventures to the most charming historic downtown and great restaurants, it's all right here. Let's just stop for 1 second. I don't know why everyone who lives in Salt Lake thinks it takes 3 hours to get to Logan, but unless you're dragging a handcart, it'll only take you 1 hour and 20 minutes, so just get in your car and get up here. You know we're Utah's heart of the arts. This week, live performances of Matilda the Musical, the professional Olyark Repertory Theater's inspiring musical Bright Star, plus they open Sherlock Holmes, the final adventure. Wait, the swashbuckling Broadway hit The Scarlet Pimpernel hits the stage too. Good night! Free concerts every weekday at noon in the Tabernacle and free concerts and movies at the Outdoor Plaza. Mark your calendars for the Cache Valley Cruise-In Classic Car Show 4th of July weekend and a packed schedule of nonstop fun all summer long. ExploreLogan.com. ExploreLogan.com.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
Join Ton and me for the Greenhouse Show tomorrow for Pantry Packs for Kids. It's at the Bountiful City Park. Help fight childhood hunger. It's 8 to noon. Volunteer, donate, and make a difference.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. The best class I ever taught was a complete accident. It was in the spring and the classroom was scheduled to be painted, that ugly beige color. So we decided just once to meet in a pavilion in a park with the mountains on one side and a stream on the other. My 90-minute class stretched into 3 hours, not because of me, but because the class wanted to go deeper and further in our discussion. We held the next class in the same place. I used the same syllabus and readings from previous classes, but our natural setting triggered deeper inquiry that continued over the 7-week spring term. Think of all the poetry, innovation, and even spiritual insights that began in nature, where there are no slides, videos, or beige walls to confine your thinking. Then consider nature for your next team meeting. Learn more about learning in an MBA program from Utah State. Go to utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes. But when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. A special summer camp is going on right now in the Salt Lake Valley for kids with neuromuscular diseases, including muscular dystrophy. It's called Camp Happyland, and it's happening at a hotel in Jordan Landing. Leisha Applegate is the program director for Project Strong, which is putting on the camp, and she spoke to KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff.
One of our main things is to help them get away from the outside world where maybe they aren't the quote-unquote the norm, and to help them realize that they can do anything that these other kids can do. And we have our own camper liaisons, which are past campers that have gone to camp themselves and realized, that you can be homesick or you can struggle with those feelings that they get coming from having this disease and when they struggle, and they help them and talk them through it, and they've been through it themselves so they can understand. And I think a big part of it here is we have campers from the ages 7 to 17, and so the little kids need the big kids and the big kids need the little kids, and the little kids can look up to the big kids and think, look, they're doing it, I can do it. They're happy and they're doing it. And the older kids get to be a mentor to those little kids, but they also get to experience the joy through the little kids.
Brooke Green is one of the camp volunteers, and she says the camp has a special significance for her family.
My brother had Duchenne muscular dystrophy and started going, years and years and years ago. And when we turned 16, we finally got to come. And so we started coming to camp, and we've been coming ever since. And then I also have a son that has Duchenne, too, and he's here, so...
20 kids with neuromuscular diseases are attending the 3-day camp. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the water, think again. Recognize the music? Of course you do. The blockbuster shark movie Jaws celebrating a major anniversary today. Here's ABC's Mike Tobuski with more.
50 years ago, Jaws premiered in theaters.
What we are dealing with here is a perfect engine, an eating machine.
The movie, about an island community terrorized by a giant shark, was notoriously difficult to film. The mechanical sharks used in production were prone to breaking in the saltwater ocean off the coast of Martha's Vineyard. What was supposed to be a 50-day shoot ballooned into more than 150. But Jaws made more than $260 million and is considered the first modern summer blockbuster.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
And Jaws is being re-released in theaters later this summer to celebrate the anniversary.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Several fires growing amidst red flag warnings.
We've got a ton of wind. I'm talking about wind gusts across the entire state today, reaching 30 to maybe 40 miles an hour. We will likely see fire growth.
The time is 2 o'clock on Friday, June 20th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the latest on fire growth and what we here in northern Utah need to be watching for as the winds continue. Also this hour.
And the judge's comments after that was, "I've seen worse." That's not okay.
More on a bipartisan call for a Utah judge to resign for comments made during a sentencing hearing. But first, our top stories. The 16-year-old accused of gunning down 3 people at the West Fest celebration in West Valley City over the weekend is now facing aggravated murder charges as an adult. KSL News Radio's Adam Small has details.
Prosecutors claim Matthias Ione Register unloaded a 9mm clip at an 18-year-old they believe was in a rival gang, but those stray bullets also hit and killed a 41-year-old woman who was 8 weeks pregnant, as well as an 8-month-old baby boy. 2 teens were also wounded by the gunfire. Ione Register is now facing 13 total charges, 4 of which are aggravated murder.
The teen could spend the rest of his life in prison if he is convicted. Utah officially had its first case of measles. The state health department says a Utah County resident tested positive. That person has not traveled out of state and was not vaccinated. Our top national story from ABC News. The Atlantic contributing writer and Iranian Arash Azizi said his countrymen are ready for change.
They would like the regime to go. They would like a different direction. They want peace. They don't want the sort of war path that Islamic Republic has been on with the countries around it.
Iran and Israel have continued to trade airstrikes. At the State Department, a Trump administration spokesperson says that she can't speculate about whether the U.S. will push for a ceasefire. An appeals court says President Trump can keep control of the National Guard troops that he deployed to Los Angeles following protests over immigration raids. The appeals court had previously delayed a lower court ruling, but now they've issued their official ruling. It says while presidents don't have unfettered power to seize control of a state's guard, the Trump administration had presented enough evidence to show that it had a defensible rationale for doing so. AAA just released their holiday travel projections for the 4th of July.
AAA predicting an all-time record number of people, over 72 million, venturing at least 50 miles from home, with a record 5.84 million flying to their destination. That's up almost 1.5% from the same period last year.
That is ABC's Will Reeve reporting. Utah had a rebound in job growth this morning.
There was a short period where things had kind of slowed down a little bit, but for May, the report shows that the job growth increased by 2.5% and unemployment remained low at that 3.2%.
Department of Workforce Services spokesperson Jared Mendenhall joined Utah's Morning News. He says education, health services, construction, and manufacturing saw the largest growth. Taking a look at your money at this moment and at the close, the Dow moving back into positive territory. It's up by 35 points, sitting at 42,206. S&P down by 13. The NASDAQ down by 99 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
We do have a crash in Weber County. It is affecting both directions of travel, but it occurred on the northbound side of Wall Avenue at 36th Street, and it's blocking center lanes. And then we still have the off-ramp closed southbound I-215's East Belt at 3300 South, with fire crews still on the scene taking care of that roadside fire. When you need the financial products and services for every stage of life, Cyprus Credit Union is there for whatever the future holds. Visit cypruscu.com today. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Cooler for the weekend. Expect a lot of sunshine tomorrow, but the high temperatures 20 degrees cooler, 77 for a high, 72 on Sunday. Right now, 95 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think.
All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Whether you're building your $1 million dream home, giving your current home a facelift, or just trying to get it out of the minor leagues, Peach Windows and Doors brings the big league look.
Modern style, energy efficiency, clean lines, tough builds, and curb appeal that hits like a home run. Not sure what you need? No sweat. Peach has the coaching staff to get your home in the game. No pressure, no gimmicks, just solid game plans and pro-level results to help you knock it out of the park.
Come see for yourself big, beautiful windows that bring the outside in. Visit Peach Windows and Doors showroom, big enough to spark ideas, small enough to feel right at home. It's time to step up your game and make your house the MVP of the neighborhood. Why live in the minor leagues when you can swing like $1 million? Peach Windows and Doors, because real homes play like champions. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or call 801-566-1255 for your free consultation.
That's Peach Windows and Doors. Give them a call, 801-566-1255.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Hundreds of people have had to flee their homes in the Pine Valley area of southern Utah due to a fast-growing wildfire that broke out last night. Thanks for tuning into Midday with Maria Shilaos. The fire is being called the Forsyth Fire. Jenny Plucky is a public affairs specialist with the Dixie National Forest, and I spoke to her just before the show to get the latest updates.
As of right now, the fire is approximately 1,000 acres. There's been an undetermined start, so we're still getting resources together to figure out how the fire actually started. We're currently approximately 100 firefighters are working on the fire, and we're expecting more as resources are ordered and filled. There's been about 400 to 500 people evacuated between the community of Pine Valley and the Pine Valley campground, and there's around 450 homes approximately, and half of those folks are half-time residents. So they're not always there all the time, but we do still have some full-time residents that live up there. And as of right now, we don't have any current plans for any more evacuations, but as things change dependent on weather and the direction of fire spread, that could change. So
can you give us an idea of how close the fire is actually burning to these homes?
As of right now, I don't have that exact information.
But they're still deemed a danger.
We're just focusing on getting folks out of the area just so that there is no, where public safety is our number one.
Jenny, describe for me the terrain that the firefighters are dealing with here.
It's in pretty rugged terrain. It's kind of on a mountainside, so it's been interesting. And again, we're still waiting on further information on exact location and everything.
Right. Describe for us the weather conditions. Are you still concerned about the wind?
So currently, southern Utah we're receiving a red flag warning right now. So we're kind of just watching that. And it's been a bit of a drought. So we're also concerned about that. But as far as resources and everything, we do have a lot of resources working on the fire right now to mitigate as best as possible.
Right. And is it still windy down there?
Yeah, it actually it is pretty windy down there in St. George.
Yeah, because I'm noticing we still have a lot of wind here, and I know wasn't wind a factor in this fire to begin with?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Okay. Any indication of how quickly this fire is burning?
I do not have that information yet.
Okay. Denny, anything that you'd like to add that maybe I haven't thought to ask you?
We're just requesting that the public stays out of the area to allow our resources to get to the fire so that they can help reduce any further spread.
And we still don't have any indication as to how this fire started.
We do not. It's still under investigation.
Again, between 400 and 500 folks have been evacuated between Pine Valley and the Pine Valley campground. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on the red flag warnings in just 60 seconds.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want you to know that it's the little things that count. Any remodeler can say they treat customers right. When it comes to siding, gutters, windows, and exteriors, it's hard to know for sure. If a contractor uses cheap generic nails instead of super grippy ridge shaft nails for your siding, would you even know? If they use cheap $4 caulk to install your new windows instead of paying $9 a tube for the good stuff, could you tell by looking? It all comes down to the details and trust. At RGS Exteriors, we only do things one way, the right way. We never cut corners. We never skimp on details. We never do less than the job requires. That's why we offer our industry's exclusive 10-year everything guarantee. And it's why we have the happiest customers. If you need any gutters, siding, or replacement windows, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online at rgsutah.com.
As fires burn in southern Utah, a red flag warning continues to impact most of the state. Low humidity, high winds, hot temperatures, creating perfect conditions for new fires to start or for existing fires to grow. Joining me now in studio is KSL meteorologist Devin Mashuli. And Devin, first of all, let's start with yesterday because, oh my goodness, it was such a scorcher. How hot did it get?
It got hot up to 104 degrees in Salt Lake City. I know. The old record was 101, so we certainly beat that by a few degrees.
Oh my goodness. So let's move down to the fires in southern Utah.
Yes.
Is there any relief in the forecast for them?
With the wind, no. And I know that's like one of the biggest concerns when it comes to when you have a fire develop. You don't want the wind to be strong and continue to grow that fire or transport it elsewhere. So the wind, unfortunately, is going to be the strongest in southern Utah tomorrow. I mean, they could have wind gusts up to 55 miles per hour, and the air is already so dry. And you add that breeze, it just continues to evaporate any water that is just in the air or in those plants. So it's very unfortunate that the winds will stay extra high tomorrow. On Sunday, the southwestern side of the state will begin to see some relief, as in wind gusts anywhere between 20 to 25 miles per hour. So that's a lot better compared to 55. But the southeastern side of the state, I know we don't have any fires on that corner, but they will continue to see some wind gusts a little bit more elevated, like 30, maybe up to 40 miles per hour. We're just waiting for a cold front to clear, and then it will remain breezy on Monday, but not nearly as strong as what we've seen yesterday, today, and especially tomorrow.
Okay, so what about for us up here in the north? Are we under a red flag warning?
We are currently still under a red flag warning for today. Temperatures are still hot here. It's obviously very windy. I mean, you can just look outside and see the trees are going crazy. So our wind gusts are still elevated here, about 40 miles per hour, at least for the Salt Lake Valley. So northern Utah still under a red flag warning, but as that cold front comes through, it's going to bring much cooler air in for us in northern Utah tomorrow. So we will only have highs around 77 degrees tomorrow, whereas southern Utah won't feel that cooler air come in until Sunday, maybe even heading into Monday. But the cold front won't be as strong in southern Utah as it will be for us. I mean, we're dropping from the mid-90s today to 77 degrees tomorrow. So it's a very potent blasts of cold air coming into northern Utah, but it will have a hard time fully having that effect into the southern parts of the state. But they will get cooler, and eventually those winds will die down a bit.
We don't get red flag warnings that much, so maybe we should describe what exactly they mean.
Yes, red flag warning is essentially that when you have the ingredients that can exacerbate fire conditions. So the criteria you typically need is strong winds, typically hot temperatures, and really low humidity. So we're talking about humidities in the single digits, like 5%. And what happens is overnight, we typically get humidity back up to say 20, even 40%. And that's good. We want to add more moisture into the air when we're going to bed. But then when the sun heats up, it just dries that air right back out as well as the wind. And that keeps those humidity values down to 5. And that just basically says the air is so dry that any fire that sparks, it's going to have the best opportunity to continue to grow and affect other locations. So that's essentially what red flag warning is in a nutshell. Hopefully I did that justice.
Yeah, so definitely something important to think about for those folks, especially who are going to do things like target shooting or go out and do hiking and things out in the mountains or desert.
Especially because so many of our fires are human caused, and we are heading into a weekend where, wow, temperatures are going to cool down for northern Utah, but the air is still very dry. We still don't have a lot of rain. You can already see if you just go up and do some hikes along the Salt Lake Valley, you can see it's getting dry. The grass is drying out. So it really is important to not do things that can cause a fire. And because with winds like this, which will still be breezy in northern Utah tomorrow, it can still go.
Colder temperatures, but no rain in the forecast?
I know. With the cold front, we have a chance for an isolated shower, but it looks like it might come overnight, if anything. So during the daytime hours, just dry, and it's really only an isolated shower chance across northern Utah. So while it could bring a little bit of rain, it's certainly not going to be a lot.
Thanks for chatting with me.
Yeah, no problem.
And that is KSL 5 meteorologist Evan Mashuli. Coming up after the break, the latest on the Israel and Iran conflict and if the U.S. will get involved. But first, KSL Traffic brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. Ricky?
Well, the work zone still making delays possible in Davis County if you're traveling southbound to I-15 through the construction between the Kaysville Ponds and Lagoon in Farmington. The worst of the slowing generally seems to be right around Burton Lane. Now, on the east side of the valley, we still have the exit ramp blocked to traffic from southbound I-215's East Belt at 3300 South. That's due to fire crews still on the scene, making sure this roadside fire is completely out. No more sparks with this wind, as you were just talking about, Maria. And those cameras are bouncing around, so they want to make sure that the fire is completely under control and taken care of. Don't miss the 91st annual Ute Stampede Rodeo with Extreme Bulls on July 9th through 12th. Athletes and explosive entertainment combined with music, food, and multiple days of family fun. Visit UtestampedeRodeo.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Your electric bill is going to be higher for summer, but not if you get new windows from Advanced Window Products. State-of-the-art double-pane windows and insulated frames, any style, any color, from a company that's been building them right here in Salt Lake City for 39 years. Not only are you buying local, but you're cutting out the middleman because they're the factory. You save 30, even 40% on your new windows, and you get a lifetime guarantee from a trusted local company. If there's a problem 5 years from now, they come right over and get things straight. And right now, you can save even more. If you call Advanced Windows for a quote, they'll give you an extra $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. Advanced Windows offers buy now, pay later. They have 60-month 0% financing. They always work out affordable payments, plus $2,500 off. So get your new windows for summer. Make the call now, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or you can go to advancedwindows.com.
The power of we believes in you. It advocates for you. It completes your circle. It makes sure you have the strongest circle possible. And with Intermountain Health in yours, you'll always have the care you need to live the healthiest life possible. That's the power of we. Intermountain Health.
Behold, is I, Queen Trustworth, sentinel for seniors amongst the knights of Scamelot, here to give thee warning. Scams and fraud are on the rise in Utah, and seniors are especially under siege. Be wary of unsolicited texts, phone calls, and salespeople asking for personal or financial information. And never send money to someone thou hast only met online. If thou hast doubts, talk to someone thou trusteth and get educated at scams.utah.gov.
Nothing says summer like double rewards on your Mountain America Rewards credit card. Get 2 times the points on everything from gas and groceries to travel and home projects. Now through July 31st, 2025. It's the perfect way to stretch your dollar and make summer doubly rewarding. Apply for your Mountain America Rewards credit card at macu.com/double. Loans on approved credit. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Limited time offer. Terms and conditions apply.
I love a day on the water with friends, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis sometimes holds me back. Now I'm all in with clearer skin thanks to Skyrizi. Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy.
Teaching music is my passion, but my active psoriatic arthritis can limit me at times. Now I'm treating my joint symptoms with Skyrizi.
With Skyrizi, most people with plaque psoriasis saw 90% clearer skin at 4 months.
Or if you are an adult with active psoriatic arthritis, Skyrizi helps you move with less joint pain, stiffness, swelling, and fatigue.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines.
There's nothing like clearer skin.
There's nothing like better movement, and that means everything. Ask your doctor about Skyrizi. Visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKY-RIZZI to learn more.
You were listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. All eyes now on President Trump as he wrestles with whether or not to aid Israel with military assistance and strike Iran. ABC's Louis Martinez talks with the Start Here host Stephen Portnoy about it all.
We cannot let Iran get a nuclear weapon. I've been saying it for a long time.
The president is nearing a decision point on Iran. Our sources have told us he's been briefed on plans to attack the Iranian enrichment facility built deep into a mountain at Fordo.
I may do it, I may not do it. I mean, nobody knows what I'm going to do, I can tell you.
Weighing in favor of a strike, the belief that the Iranians already have enough enriched uranium to begin developing a nuclear weapon if they decide to do it. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu told our Jonathan Karl earlier this week.
They want to continue stringing the U.S. along, build up those weapons. They don't want a seat at the table. They want to blow up the table. Specifically, they want to blow up Israel.
But weighing against a strike, the risk Iran might retaliate against U.S. forces in the region. Key voices in the president's MAGA movement have been urging him not to wade into another war in the Middle East. And one of them, Steve Bannon, was spotted at the White House yesterday, just after he told his War Room podcast audience this.
Our line is, quite simply, Netanyahu, just finish what you started.
President Trump stayed out of public view yesterday. He dictated a message, read aloud by his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt.
Based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks.
Well, look, it's a bit of a tired joke among us reporters who've covered President Trump over the years that whenever there's an open-ended decision point, whether it's on his health care plan, a move on trade, a push for a peace plan between Russia and Ukraine, he'll say he'll let us know within 2 weeks.
But I'll let you know in about 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, we're going to find out very soon. I'd rather tell you in about 2 weeks from now. And I'll do this at some point over the next 2 weeks. I'll announce it over the next 2 weeks.
So is the president now setting a new 4th of July deadline for Iran to agree to his demands? Let's start the day with ABC News senior Pentagon reporter Louis Martinez at the Pentagon. Louis, the president seems to be saying he wants to give negotiations more time, but we also know there are things happening behind the scenes. What have your sources been telling you about how close the president really is to making a decision?
I don't get a sense at all right now from many officials that I'm talking to that a decision has been made, and that matches the public statements.
There's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future.
And at the Defense Department, our job is to stand ready and prepared with options, and that's precisely what we're doing.
Typically, when you have a public statement, you know that there's stuff going on in the background, that ships are moving, the planes are moving, and that it's just essentially going to align ultimately with a final decision from a president of whether there's going to be military action or not. Right now, all we've seen are just these the ship movements. We know that additional aircraft have also been flown into the region, but it aligns really well with the whole notion that they are there as a defensive posture and essentially as a deterrent against any retaliation by Iran against U.S. military facilities. I don't think there is any appetite here for the United States to get involved in another conflict, particularly one between Israel and Iran, because the uncertainty of how long this goes on for, what happens next, that's the question I hear the most from officials is if the United States gets involved, then what happens next? Where do we go from here?
A few U.S. aircraft carriers are now making their way towards the Middle East, preparing for potential conflicts. One ship was already in the area to aid against attacks from the Houthis. The other two soon to arrive to prepare for potential escalations. These ships will join the roughly 40,000 U.S. military personnel already in the Middle East. Stephen Portnoy again with more on the so-called bunker-busting bombs.
Let's talk about the possibility of a strike, because we've heard a lot about these 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrator bombs, the bunker busters. They've been tested but never actually used in combat?
Never used in combat. They've been tested a lot, and the United States knows that this device works. The question is, how deep are the facilities at Fordo? Because there's some thinking that potentially while they have been tested, they may not go deep enough. And then the question becomes, we know it's not going to be one bomb. It's going to have to be multiples. It may be a series of bombs that are dropped on this facility. The real question is, will they be able to go deep enough and destroy this facility? And that's an unknown, because some questions are being raised that potentially the nuclear facilities there are way too underground for the massive ordnance penetrator to have a destructive effect.
Let's talk about what we know about how close Iran is to having a nuclear bomb. Clear this up, because you have the Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, telling Congress back in March that the intelligence community did not believe that Iran was building a nuclear weapon.
The IC continues to assess that Iran is not building a nuclear weapon, and Supreme Leader Khamenei has not authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003.
But yesterday, at the White House, we heard Caroline Leavitt say, and this is her quote,
Iran has all that it needs to achieve a nuclear weapon. All they need is a decision from the Supreme Leader to do that.
What's the difference in those two statements?
Yeah, you're seeing a disconnect essentially between what has been traditionally the U.S. intelligence viewpoint that Iran has not made a political decision to pursue a nuclear weapon, that essentially that guides U.S. thinking of whether how the United States is going to react towards Iran's progress. We know that they've been enriching uranium for years. We know that they've been close to that 90% threshold that gets us to weapons-grade uranium that could be used in a nuclear weapon. The question then becomes, how quickly could they do that? And I think that's the disconnect that you're seeing between the DNI and what Israeli intelligence believes.
They have 9 atom bombs worth of enriched uranium. They're working secretly, as we shared with the United States. They're working secretly to rapidly weaponize this. In a few months, they would have nuclear bombs.
The thinking is that Israeli intelligence thinks that that threshold, that time frame is way shorter than what the United States thinks. And now, of course, you're seeing this language from the White House that may be at odds with what the United States, the intelligence community has been saying for quite some time. And how you resolve that disconnect, I think it is an open question. But right now, I think the driver for Israel's action was Israel's intelligence. So the question now is whether the White House believes Israel's intelligence more than it does the U.S. intelligence community's own assessments.
Now, the calculus on the part of the Israelis appears to be that they have significantly degraded Iran's air defenses. What do we know about Iran's capability to strike U.S. assets or people in the region? Has that been degraded by the Israelis?
What we know is that Israel has they claim they've taken out maybe a third or half of all the launchers that Iran has that are firing these long-range missiles towards Israel. It's those same missile launchers that could potentially be targeting U.S. facilities in the Middle East. And if the number of those launchers has been degraded, then that makes it less likely that the Iranians will be able to effectively attack U.S. facilities. But the risk remains there, Steve. And I think that's the real concern is at what point can Iran get involved? Will they want to get involved? And will they really pose a threat to U.S. forces? And even though they may be taking out those long-range missiles, they still have a ton of short-range missiles that could reach into Iraq and Syria, where there are a lot of U.S. forces. So the risk remains regardless of how the battle situation goes.
All right. Luis Martinez at the Pentagon. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Steve.
And like they mentioned, the president has given himself roughly 2 weeks to make a decision on whether to get involved and help Israel with military support. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. On this first day of summer, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Bipartisan calls for a Utah judge to resign for comments on privilege. Does property insurance cover things like riots and protests? And KSL traffic, let's get the very latest from Ricky Meese.
The exit ramp is still closed to traffic southbound on the East Belt at 33rd South due to that roadside fire. Salt Lake City PD wrapping up a crash downtown at 3rd West and 1300 South. And southbound I-15 in Utah County, we've had some heavy and slow traffic going from Payson towards Santaquin. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. Hot on this first day of summer, but not as hot as yesterday. We'll check KSL's top local stories in a minute, but first, ABC.
ABC News, I'm Stephanie Officer. Today, layoff notices were sent to 639 employees of Voice of America and the U.S. agency that oversees it, effectively shutting down the outlet that has provided news to countries around the world since World War II. They included employees at VOA's Persian language service who were suddenly called off administrative leave last week to broadcast reports to Iran following Israel's attack. 3 journalists working for the Persian service who took a cigarette break had their badges confiscated and were not allowed back in. More than 100 million Americans have to be on alert as extreme heat blankets the nation this weekend. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says his cities will have additional resources available, like cooling centers, as temperatures are expected to soar into the 90s Saturday with a heat index of 100 to 105.
Over the next few days, make sure that we check in on our loved ones and our neighbors, especially our seniors and those with health conditions, individuals with disabilities.
This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Hundreds of homes in southern Utah are at risk as a fast-moving wildfire continues to burn near Pine Valley. The Forsyth fire has burned over 1,000 acres and has led officials to evacuate 400 to 500 people in the area. 100 firefighters are currently battling the blaze, with more expected to arrive soon. The Alpine School District is looking to build a new high school in Saratoga Springs as the area continues to rapidly grow. KSL News Radio's Vril Johansson has more.
The new school will sit on the west side of Mountain View Corridor, close to the Saratoga Springs Temple. Alpine School District Communications Director Rich Stowell says the area has needed another high school for a while.
Currently, Westlake High School might be the largest school in the state by enrollment. Cedar Valley is close behind it. You know, they're both north of 3,000 students currently.
Stowell says they expect the new school to be one of the largest in the state. Officials expect the high school to be ready for students in 3 years. Vril Johansson, KSL News Radio.
The owners of the Provo Town Center Mall have now publicly presented their plans to rebuild the mall into a mixed-use outdoor mall. The proposal includes removing the Shady Acres mobile home park, and that didn't sit well with many at this week's public meeting.
I think most of this is great with the exception of kicking people and displacing people from their homes.
I think I know the answer to this, but is there any plan in which that mobile home park stays?
It's hard for me to speculate.
A woman who lives in the mobile home park asked if she had years or just months left before losing her home. The developers said that this is a long process, and if the plans get approved, they'd give people at least a year's advance notice before they had to leave. Other local stories KSL is following. Utah had a rebound in job growth this morning.
There was a short period where things had kind of slowed down a little bit, but for May, the report shows that the job growth increased by 2.5% and unemployment remained low at that 3.2%.
Department of Workforce Services spokesman Jared Mendenhall joined Utah's Morning News, and he says education, health services, construction, and manufacturing saw the largest growth. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow ended the day up by 35 points, sitting at 42,206. S&P down by 13, and the NASDAQ down by 98 points. Traffic and weather, it's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. What's happening on the roads, Ricky?
We already have traffic getting busy and a little slow southbound I-15. It looks like we're kicking in the drive home a little early. It's busy and slow from the South Interchange into Midvale, almost to Sandy. And of course, fire crews still on the scene of this earlier roadside fire in the Mill Creek area. The ramp is still closed, trying to exit from southbound on the East Belt at 33rd South. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
A lot of sunshine, but cooler temperatures for your Saturday. The high only 77 tomorrow. That's a 20-degree drop. Sunday, much the same, but a 10% chance of showers creep in. 93 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Hey Ryan, you remember that trip we took in our tent trailer down to Southern California?
Oh, that was the best.
Making memories with Paris RV. Hook up to the 2025 Forest River Rockwood 16 OTG for only $9,195 or $148 per month, zero down. Or the 2025 Highland Ridge Open Range 177 BH for only $14,995 or $171 per month, zero down. Or the 2026 Coachman RV Catalina Summit Series 7 134 BHX for only $14,995 or $171 per month, zero down.
Take your family out RVing with Paris RV.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Jane has 150,000 miles on her truck, and she's proud of that. Jane's secret? AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help her find the right parts. Jane's brother Josh only cares that his car starts and goes, but when it doesn't, he also goes to AutoZone, where friendly AutoZoners help with free services. No hassles, just help. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Some of the top leaders in the Utah legislature are doubling down on their calls that a southern Utah judge resign for comments made during a recent sentencing. You'll recall the situation from last month. Judge Don Torgerson referred to the defendant's privilege when deciding upon a sentence. 22-year-old Aiden Hoffman had pleaded guilty to 2 felony charges of sexual exploitation of a minor. He was given a suspended prison sentence and was placed on probation. He also had to register as a sex offender. Utah Speaker of the House Mike Schultz spoke exclusively to KSL5 TV's Daniel Woodruff about the comments from the judge and the new bipartisan letter calling for his resignation. A warning, some of the description of the events are graphic.
When I heard the comments, it was concerning. But when I dug into the information and learned what the judge had just watched, the video that the judge watched of the 6-year-old girl being duct taped and raped against her will, and the judge's comments after that was, "I've seen worse." That's not okay. That's horrific. Even if the judge had seen worse, you don't say that in the court. You don't say that in front of the defendant. That's horrific, and that's not okay. That was hard for me. And then to reference this kid's privilege and coming from privilege and referencing, 112 days is a long time in jail from a kid that comes from privilege or a person that comes from privilege. Those are concerning comments to me. And I think, those things coupled together with the light sentence, I think is really concerning to me, and where I do think that this judge needs to resign. And look, I get and understand, we all make comments that we regret. I've made several comments that I regret, but walking them back is an important part of the process. And if you feel bad about that, you say it. You walk back from those comments. And that's what this judge should have done. He should have walked back from those comments, but instead they didn't. The courts came out with a statement that was not accurate, and you guys reported on that it wasn't accurate. And so, you add all those things together and we have a problem here. And that's why, we're still asking that this judge resign. And if this judge doesn't resign, then I've asked Chief Justice Durant to look into it and find the appropriate measures.
The letter signed by both Speaker Schultz and House Minority Leader Angela Romero. She tells Daniel Woodruff that it was important for both leaders to send a unified message to the judiciary.
I just really had some concerns with what the judge said to the individual and didn't follow the recommendations of the prosecution. Of course, judges have their own discretion, but when you use words like that, it gives a chilling effect to victims of sexual assault, or well, in this case, this was just observing something. But still, we saw this happen in California with a young woman who was sexually assaulted, and her perpetrator wasn't given any jail time because he was a good boy. And this felt like a similar conversation that was happening, talking about this young man's privilege.
You've signed on to the letter. You and the speaker don't always sign on to letters together.
No.
What made you want to do that this time?
I just felt like it was an important message for us to send to that judge, to think about the words and the power he has, and the impact it has on victims of sexual assault, child sex abuse. Those are areas I specialize in. But also, the speaker and I agree when it comes to transparency. Every vote we take, every decision we make is documented after. There's nothing there for the judiciary. It'd be nice to be able to, like if someone's made a ruling, to have that a little bit more transparent. I'm not talking about videos in the courtroom. I'm talking about after a judgment's been made.
Let's now bring on KSL5 TV's Daniel Woodruff to go more in-depth on this. First of all, Daniel, it's pretty rare for these two to sign a letter together.
And I noted that when I talked to Leader Romero, you usually see a degree of cooperation between Republicans and Democrats, but not typically on a lot of things. And in this case, I was intrigued because Speaker Schultz has called previously for this judge to resign. But now, a month after we initially reported this story, you've got the House Minority Leader joining forces with him and saying, the things that this judge said are not okay, and we collectively together as the top Republican and Democrat in the House of Representatives believe that the judge should step down and that the judiciary should investigate this.
Yeah, what else does it say in this letter?
It talks about the response that the courts made to our story. So our story aired in May, and about 5 or 6 days later, the courts put out a statement basically criticizing KSL and saying that we intentionally omitted certain facts from the story. And they particularly pointed to the plea agreement that this defendant had agreed to, and the courts alleged that it specifically said that he would not go to prison. If you go and actually read the plea agreement, that is not what it said. It, in fact, gave the prosecutor the right to argue for prison time, which he did. Speaker Schultz and Leader Romero both had an issue with how the courts responded, feeling that they were disingenuous and not telling the truth about the facts surrounding this case in an effort to defend this judge. Both of them feel the judge should have apologized and owned his words, but he didn't.
So what, if anything, has Judge Torgerson said publicly about this?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Only the courts.
And you've reached out to him?
We have through the courts, yep, multiple times.
Okay,
I'm happy to sit down with him for the record if he is listening to this and would like to explain what he meant. I'm happy to give him an interview, just as I've given interviews on to multiple other people in this story.
You alluded to this. After your first report, the state's judiciary issued that statement that saying part of your story wasn't true. Remind us what part they thought wasn't true.
The plea agreement. They said that in the plea agreement, it said that this guy would get probation. However, if you look at 2 points before that, it specifically says that both the defense and the prosecution have no stipulation or prior agreement about additional incarceration time, and that point would be argued in court. That's exactly what happened. During that sentencing hearing, the Grand County attorney pushed for prison time and said that this case was egregious and that there needed to be a message sent by sending this defendant to prison. Ultimately, the judge decided no additional time behind bars, no fine either, and 4 years probation.
Speaker Schultz seemed visibly angry and frustrated in your interview with him about this. So why is he so upset by the judge's remarks?
I actually asked him about that. I said, you seem angry. And he said, I don't know if it's anger or upset or hurt, but he said the biggest thing that irked him was knowing the material that was involved in this case, multiple images of children being raped and abused, and the fact that the judge had seen some of those images and then commented that he had seen worse. Those were his words, although he added that he didn't mean to minimize the seriousness of it. But Speaker Schultz really didn't like that and felt like it minimized the situation. And in the letter that he and Leader Romero sent to the judiciary, they said that they feel like the courts, the state court system, has minimized this by not taking responsibility, and that's why they're asking the Chief Justice to investigate and also calling for this judge himself to resign.
No word from the courts yet.
The courts did give us a statement last night saying that the Speaker and the Chief Justice had a productive meeting about this yesterday and that they look forward to continued conversations about the case. Nothing about whether the judge will stay on the bench or not.
Daniel, thanks for getting us up to date on the story.
Thanks, Maria.
And that is KSL 5's Daniel Woodruff. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Recent protests in Utah have resulted in some kinds of violence and vandalism, things often known as civil unrest. Do you know if your insurance policies cover things like this? KSL News Radio's Michelle Rowe asked State Insurance Commissioner John Pike about it, and he says, it depends.
Civil unrest and riot, those are the kinds of things that are generally covered under an insurance policy, but it will depend on the policy language. And that's the way so many coverages are. So it is covered. Civil unrest and riot are generally covered, but it depends on policy language. And really the best thing that consumers can do, and business owners, they should review their policy with their insurance agent so that they know exactly, what their coverage is. Because like so many other things, it might be higher coverage or lower coverage depending on what they have purchased and what they can afford, what they believe their risk might be. So generally covered, but they'd want to check on the specifics with their insurance agent.
Commissioner Pike says in general, it's a good idea to review your policies with your agent often in case your needs change or the market changes.
It's really a good kind of rule of thumb with any type of coverage is to kind of occasionally do a bit of an insurance checkup. Talk with your agent, kind of go through the different coverages and say, what am I covered for? What if this happens? What am I responsible for, and what is the insurance company going to pay for? So kind of a good rule of thumb for just about any kind of coverage that you're wanting to confirm, if you will.
He says when you meet with your agent, you should specifically ask if civil unrest is covered by your insurance, and if so, to what extent. He also says some policies exclude civil unrest, so check with your insurance agent about that, just in case. Stay with us. Coming up, we're going to take a look at some cool stuff in Utah. John Smith is going to join me. But first, let's check your traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Double Rewards credit card promotion. And here's Ricky Meese.
Well, Maria, this is never an easy one. We have two crashes, one on each side of I-15. Both are tying up traffic in Weber County. This is at Riverdale Road. On the southbound side, left lane's blocked. On the northbound side, a right lane blocked. The worst delays are definitely southbound I-15 going through Weber County into Riverdale. Again, fire crews remain on the scene and still have the ramp blocked off to traffic. And this is southbound I-215's East Belt at 33rd South. Also, a crash being cleared at Redwood Road and 4th South. Jordan Valley Water says we're using about 12% more water than last year, even though we don't need to. Let's fix that. Water one day less each week. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Attention RVers! In 57 years, Motorsportsland has never had a sale like this before. We've got over 100 new models coming in and our lots are already almost full. We've got to clear out inventory fast, so we've selected over 100 new travel trailers, fifth wheels, and toy haulers to sell to you at or below dealer cost. Like our 2024 Encore Venue off-road travel trailer, MSRP at $30,000, normally priced at $25,000, dealer cost at $22,400, and this week only priced to you for below $17,000 with amazing financing options. Or our 2024 28-foot Stealth toy hauler fifth wheel, MSRP at $99,330, normally priced at $83,500, this week only $67,743. Save more than ever before on your dream RV. But these deals are disappearing quick, so visit a Motorsportsland RV Center today.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
If you need to hire, you know it takes time. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. You simply pick a time and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day.
Try Zip Intro for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. Zip Intro. Post jobs today. Talk to qualified candidates tomorrow.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not?
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. It's Friday and time for cool stuff in Utah with John Smith. John did a bit of traveling this week and went up to the Juab County Fairgrounds. So tell us what you learned about the Ute Stampede Rodeo.
First off, it's down to the Juab County Fairgrounds.
Okay.
I made that same mistake, and they were very, very clear that you go south, you go down. I'm not sure why that's important.
I've always been directionally challenged, so I'm going to take their word on that. So what did you learn?
So the Juab County Fairgrounds, that is the largest rodeo arena in the state of Utah. And they do the Ute Stampede Rodeo for the last 91 years. Which means through the Depression, through World War II, through COVID, they have managed to put this thing on every single year, which is pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. And you did kind of learn about the history of it because they have a special room that tells the history.
Yeah, they're really big on the history and the heritage down there. And it's really fun because the population of Nephi doubles on rodeo weekend. So the weekend of July 9th through the 12th, they've got every single night, they've got something going on starting at 8 o'clock. So you've got like bulls and horses and something called a hide race.
A hide
which
race.
I had never heard of before, but when we went down there, we got this on video, by the way, if you look for cool stuff in Utah. A hide race is basically they take a cow hide, they drag it behind a horse, and you have to lay on it, and they just drag you around the arena.
I'm laughing because I got a sneak peek at the video
and
watched them pull you around the arena on that horse. That looked terrifying. What did that feel like?
Well, one word of advice, if you ever find yourself in a hide race, keep your mouth closed.
Yeah, it looked like you ate a little bit of dirt there.
Well, dirt and other things that are in rodeo dirt. Yeah. So they've got... but they've got bull riders, and they've got like the PRCA championship. They've got the bulls from Flying U, Diamond G. I had never been to a rodeo before.
I've never been to a rodeo.
I still haven't because
before.
It's coming up on July 9th. But I cannot wait to go because it was so much fun. And here's the other thing I learned.
Okay.
Maria Shilaos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, say what you want about division in this country. But once upon a time, and you'll remember these days, once upon a time, a guy with a mohawk like me goes strolling down to a rodeo, he's getting the crap beat out of him. But these guys were so welcoming and so friendly. That's America, buddy.
But they did pull you behind a horse.
They did pull me behind a horse. I had to ask them to do it. And they were kind of like, you sure about that there, city boy? And I was like, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, there were no bulls there, so you couldn't have any sort of experience with a bull, which I'm sure is a very good thing, especially since you've never been to a rodeo before.
Right.
But you did get up on a horse.
I did. For my first time ever. And I was terrified.
I am amazed at this. But I noticed that the horse that they brought out, Sunshine... I think Sunshine was more afraid of you than you, the horse.
I had never been on a horse before. Now, I have been born and raised in Utah, 46 years as a Utah resident. I had never been on a horse before. For some reason, the opportunity has just never been there. I don't know why, but I got on the horse, and I, for the first time in recent memory, was scared of what was going to happen.
And that
next.
horse knew, Sunshine knew. He kind of turned his head away from you like, oh, no, not this
He's gonna
guy.
bite me or throw me off or do something crazy.
So how was that? How was that whole ride?
It was terrifying. I'll be honest.
It was pretty funny to watch you get on and off that
Sitting
horse.
on the horse was scarier than being dragged by the horse. I'll tell you that much.
Seriously?
Yes. 100%.
Oh, no. Come on.
100%.
Okay.
So.
Anything else about your cool video you want to tell people about?
Just that you can find it on YouTube. Look for Cool Stuff in Utah. You'll find that and all the other 70 episodes. But the Juab County Fair, Fairgrounds, the Ute Stampede Rodeo, that's coming up July 9th through 12th. Get your tickets at utestampederodeo.com.
Good stuff. You also said there's a demolition derby as part of that.
The world's biggest demolition derby. Thank you very much.
Okay. And then you have some cool stuff that's coming up this weekend to talk about.
Pierce the Veil going to be in concert at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater. It's a hardcore rock and roll band. So if you like the rock stuff, there is a 2000s party at the Depot downtown Salt Lake. So if you missed the days of 20 years ago, what? Yeah, they're doing a 2000s revival party, and then the Utah Arts Fest going on downtown on Main Street all weekend long.
And it's going to be cooler, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, finally. Jeez.
Right?
Don't set anything on fire.
You want to laugh? Check out his videos. Cool Stuff in Utah on YouTube. Have a great week.